Okay, you probably have heard of wholesale real estate. Everyone and their mama be talking how it's simple as finding a seller, getting on the contract, and selling that contract to an investor, making the difference. Look, it's simple, but it's not easy. So in this video, I'm gonna actually go ahead and break down the way that I was able to get my first ever deal. And I remember vividly how I got this deal. I even FaceTimed this seller to get this property under contract. Like I was so desperate to get something on the contract that I risked that. So I'm going to break down how I was able to even get a hold of this seller, how I ended up getting the property under contract, how I find a cash investor, and how I was able to basically close on the deal and get those 12K wired to my bank account. If you're new here, my name is Miguel Angel, and I've been in the wholesale game for the last couple of years. And I basically break down my life, my story, and how to wholesale and things like that throughout this whole YouTube channel. So if you're new, make sure to leave a like, subscribe. But other than that, let's jump straight in. So how the fuck and how the hell was I even able to get a hold of this seller? So what you have probably heard all across the internet is like, oh, if you want to get into wholesaling, you got to go do bandit signs. You're going to go drive around your neighborhood, find beat up properties, reach out to sellers using like truepeoplesearch.com, etc., things like that. But that's not the way I did it. The way I do it, and this is what I like to call virtual real estate. Long story short, what it entails is wholesaling virtually. So the property that I got under contract ended up selling was in the city of Enid, Oklahoma. I'm in the city of Dallas. I've never been in Enid in my life. So the way that I was able to get a hold of the seller was via PropStream. I went onto Enid, Oklahoma, went onto PropStream, and I pulled a list of properties that have high equity. What does high equity mean? High equity, basically, long story short, what it entails is that most of the property has been paid off. So they actually have money. There's actually money to be made in comparison to someone that probably bought the property like yesterday. Like all they're really gonna make is maybe their down payment back, and that's pretty much it. And the rest of the money goes back to the loan. But when people have high equity, most likely they've paid out the majority of it, or maybe it's free and clear, like they already paid it all off. I stayed between 1980, 1990 when it comes to the build of the property. So those are a lot older and usually have a lot more wear and tear. It's a lot harder to wholesale properties that are far newer, let's say the 2010s, 20 and up. So I put the list, I threw it onto my dollar, and I dialed away. It took on average between 30 to 40 conversations a day to generate between 4 to 5 leads. As I was generating leads, I came across this lady that basically was like, oh, that property has been vacant for the last couple of years. I moved upstate, probably roughly around 30 minutes away. Like nothing too crazy, but she still had access to the property. Long story short, I kept asking a couple questions, and I have my whole sales process right here. Long story short, let me go ahead and break it down. When it comes to this wholesale game, a lot of people focus on the actual pieces of property. Or like, is this property beat up? Da, 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 da. When in reality, you should be looking for reasons why people are looking to sell. In this case, this property, she had moved upstate 30 minutes away from this property because she wanted to be closer to her grandkids. She said, I've been owning that property for a while. I honestly don't have a reason to move back into it. It's been vacant for a while. There's a little bit of damages here and there, nothing too crazy, but there is a couple knickknacks that need to be taken care of. But like I mentioned, property aside, we don't care if the property's falling over. We're gonna go ahead and sell it, but we need a reason to sell. She didn't have a super great motivation. Like she wasn't like, oh, I need to sell like today. She was motivated to sell. She was like, yeah, actually it would make sense for me to sell because I want to get rid of it. I don't want to deal with this later down the road, and this money would actually help because I can go ahead and take my grandkids wherever, Disneyland or whatever. Because the price point in this area was pretty low. And I ended up getting the property under contract for $17,000 and ended up selling it to an investor. And I ended up selling it to an investor for $29,000. So when it comes to talking to individuals, really paint the picture of what you can provide for them. Again, I emphasize, what is she going to do after the fact of selling this property? She basically made this whole picture of like she's gonna go take her grandkids to do this. She doesn't have to deal with the taxes for the property. She's probably gonna do so and so, so and so, and so and so. Perfect, right? So I was like, hey, I went back, I ran my numbers. In a span of like 2 to 3 days, I followed up with her. Hey, me and my brother, we're actually end up deciding to move forward with this property. And considering the fact that we need to do so and so, and we can get this property, sold, and we could probably close between here in the next 15 to 21 days. For us to move forward with this property, we'll have to move forward at 15,000 because she was looking for 20, right? So, and my number, the one that I wanted was 17. I could have easily thrown that 17, but I was like, no, I got to work my way up there. And by working my way up there and her seeing that the first bid that I put out there was 15,000, she's gonna feel like she won the negotiation. Like, oh, motherfucker was trying to buy my property for 15,000. I got 17 out of them. When in reality, the number I've always wanted was 17. But they walk away with a win, and that's how it is. That's how you have to make it feel. Let's say they want 50,000, and in your head you're like, oh, I need to get it for 50,000 to sell it on to an investor. Like that would make sense. And you go in there and bid 50,000. Don't do that. Even if the number makes sense to both of you guys, go lower so you can go up to that number that you'll get even less than 50. Lock it on the contract less than 50,000. That'd be great. But go and give it a little bit of a fight, because if they feel like it was too easy, there's a word for that, like seller resentment or something like that. So really do that battle so they feel like they basically out negotiated you and they beat you to it and they basically got the number that they wanted. So I got this property under contract. I told her, give me like 30 minutes. Let me give you a call right back. I'm gonna go ahead and get those documents ready and I'll be on the line just in case you had any questions. It got to a point where I called her. She was like 30 minutes after, she wasn't picking up. And then she picked up and she couldn't hear me. For some reason, I was like, oh my God, like what the fuck is happening with my phone or her phone?
Hello?
Oh, hey, Mary?
Hello?
Yeah, hello, Mary? Can you hear me? It's Angel.
Hello?
Oh my God. Like, I don't know what the fuck was happening. I don't know if it was her phone or my phone. It was a whole emotional roller coaster. And a lot of these deals are like this, especially starting out. It can be very emotional because you're already thinking, I'm about to make this assignment fee of so and so, and this assignment fee is going to lead to me to do this, to do that. And that's where a lot of people fuck up. And that's where I kind of like came to realize like that's not a way that you should move forward, or that's not a way that you should navigate the business. And a good analogy can be like, have you guys, and I guess this applies to my guys, maybe my girls too, but like, have you came across a person and then you basically fall in love with what they could be, not exactly what's standing right in front of you? Like you say, you start talking to this individual, you like them and all that stuff, and then you start thinking about we're gonna go on so and so, we're gonna go on dates, we're gonna get married, da 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 da, and then all that shit happens, and you just feel fucking terrible at yourself, and you just feel like you're not enough. So that same thing applies when it comes to these leads. So I was like very emotional because like, oh no, like what happened? Maybe she didn't want the number. She just turned me a verbal yes, and now I can't lock it under contract. Thankfully, she responded. She couldn't hear me for some reason. I don't know what was happening with my phone or what was happening with her phone. And I decided to say, fuck it. And I FaceTimed her. I was like, let's go on FaceTime. And I was like, can you hear me? Now she could see me, she could hear me, etc. And I sent over the DocuSign to her.
One more step. Complete.
Gotcha.
Leave a copy.
She had a couple questions. I answered them on the phone. Just a quick tip, never send agreements without having the seller on the line. A lot of people just send agreements and plan on something to stick, but ball is going to be in their court. And also, they're going to have questions. And instead of delaying the whole process by like, having to wait to respond to emails, etc., and bouncing back and forward, make sure to have them on the phone throughout the whole process. So she's signing. I get the notification. She signed the document. I was like, God bless. Finally, I've been at it. I've been cold calling like crazy for the last 2 months, and I haven't been able to get a property under contract. And finally, I did. I got a property under contract, had to go on FaceTime, had to go on a limb. This was just the start of a whole emotional roller coaster. Just before we even continue, I do want to mention that if you're looking to get into wholesaling and you don't have any agreements, and that's probably the main thing that's holding you back from even starting, link down below. I have the exact agreement that I use in that transaction and every single of my transactions since then, to be able to close on wholesale deals virtually. So go ahead and click the link down below, the first link, so you can get a free copy of the agreement that I use. And also, if you're a little bit more serious and you want to start your wholesale business the right way, make sure to click the second link down below and apply to my one-on-one mentorship. But other than that, let's jump back right in. So once I got the property on the contract, I'm only halfway done. Now we got to find an end buyer. Now we got to find an investor. Now I got to get photos, because I can't even get photos from her because she's not going to go out of her way to commute out there, right? So I decided to go ahead, call around for some photographers. Photographers were quoting me from like $250 to $300. Keep in mind, I'm just starting. I'm paying property a month. I don't really have as much money at the moment. So I don't really have the liberty, especially for something that could fall through, to just spend $250 on a photographer. So I went to Craigslist and I put the exact post right in front of you. And I had a guy reach out to me. He was like, hey, I can go ahead and take photos of your property. Let me know when and what to do. All right. Keep in mind, I don't have access to this property either. There's no lockbox. The seller hasn't even been in the property in like over a year. So I was like, how the fuck do I coordinate this? I go back, I call the seller. Hey, I just sent over the documents to title, which I did. I sent over the documents to title. They started doing the title work. I just sent over the documents to title. But one of my contractors is actually going to go by and take a couple photos of the property so we can go ahead and get some estimates for the repairs. Are you able to meet up with him, so-and-so? And then I was basically on her timing. So I had to coordinate between the photographer, between her. But I was also running the risk of like, maybe this photographer can like try to backdoor me. He can like see that like, oh, this guy's trying to do a wholesale deal and I just tell the seller, get the property on the contract for a little bit more. So I was running that risk, right? But I said, fuck it. I got nothing to lose. Let's do it. I called the photographer. Hey, a seller just notified me that she's there. Guy went in there and he wasn't even a photographer. He literally just took photos with his fucking phone. Boom, boom, boom. But I feel like he's done this before. He literally took photos like every single detail of the property. I was like, perfect. I got photos of our property. And up to this point, I already took the liberty to start looking for buyers. And the way that I was finding buyers at the time is I would go onto Redfin. I would look at the properties that are flips that have sold in the last 90 months. And in the last 90 days. And I would reach out to the realtors. Hey, by any chance you got a flipper or a cash buyer that's looking for a project right now? Hey, by any chance you got an investor flipper looking for a project right now? Bunch of girls, a bunch of guys, realtors, they were like, no, until there were some that would say, yes. Like I have a couple flippers. They're actually looking for a project right now. I went ahead and, man, like I said, this is a whole emotional roller coaster. And a lot of transactions go like this. And I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. But this is what's actually going to build you to become like a good wholesaler and be good at this industry, is by navigating through those like lumps. So I have the photos. I have a couple investors that are interested. Now they want to go ahead and walk the property. Keep in mind, I don't have a lockbox on this fucking property because I can't go put a lockbox. I'm doing all this shit virtually. So I call the seller. Hey, I having some contractors go by the property today or tomorrow or whatever date it was. And in reality, it was investors walking the property. And again, I took that risk. I was like, fuck it, man. Like, I have nothing to lose. Easily, this investor can find out what the fuck I'm doing. But of course, I'm not going to tell the investor that the seller is going to go ahead and open the door. So I told my seller, hey, I'm having a couple contractors going in there, basically walk the property. Can you go ahead and meet up with them? And I told the investor, hey, I have one of the sellers, like distant family that's in the area, gonna go meet up with you guys. She has a copy of the key, so they don't know that who is who in reality. The seller thinks that this is a contractor when in reality that's an investor, and the investor thinks that this lady is like some family member of the seller, right? And I fucked up. I should have just said like a friend or a neighbor, etc. So I took the risk. I let them know. They said, "Oh, we're gonna go buy the property at 11 a.m." I call my seller. Hey, are they there? Yeah, we're walking the property as we speak. Man, if I said that I was not nervous, I would have been lying. I was stressing. I was like, I got this property under contract. I went all this way. I've been trying to get a wholesale deal in the last 2 months. And I'm really taking the risk from like easily this investor can backdoor me because if he finds out that, who is who. I go ahead 2 hours after that, shoot a text to an investor the real estate agent because he walked it. There were like a couple. The realtor was the wife and the flipper was the husband. And I call the wife and she's like, oh yeah, we like the property. I think this is a project we're gonna pick up. We're just gonna go ahead and run our own comps and just to make sure everything looks good. Because I already went out of my way, ran my own comps, and I provided all that information to them via a buyer's pack. And it's just basically, long story short, it's a quick PDF form with the photos, with information about the property, location, etc. But I sent it over, and she was like, "Oh, we're gonna go ahead and do our own comps." It's around probably like 2-3 p.m. by now. I was like, okay, well, let me know if if we're good to go, so I can go ahead and send you the agreement, so we can go ahead and send that over the title. At this point, it's probably like a week in, after like a week worth of time after I got the property under contract. And then, so a couple hours later, I get a call from the realtor, the wife, and she's like, "Hey, let's go ahead and move forward. So just send over the agreement, and we'll go ahead and." I guess they've done. The great thing is, I'm pretty sure they've done this a couple of times. They're like, "Hey, just send over the agreement so we can get this closed as quick as possible." And I was like, "Yes, finally! I got the property under contract already. I found a buyer. I risked it. I guess they didn't know, or they probably knew, but they didn't care. They're like, "Oh, let's move forward." I ended up assigning that property to them. I sent it over to the title company. Title company was happy. After that happened, I was like, finally, I can close a deal. Got the property under contract. Went through a whole emotional roller coaster of like, risking and being nervous. I like, fuck, what if like they backdoor me, etc., etc. And at this point, I didn't know about the affidavit stuff, but with the affidavit, I wasn't willing to do that just yet, because with the affidavit, you're basically obligated to buy the property. And I notified my seller, "Hey, title just reached out to me. We are looking good to close on the 21st of that month." It was probably like a week or two after that, because title was still running. So long story short, the same way I got the property under contract with the seller, same thing with the buyer. Send it over to the buyer. "Hey, here it is. Earnest money. This is a title company we were working with." So I sent it over to the title company. I CC'd the buyer. Title company let them know, "Hey, okay, perfect. This is where you're gonna put in your earnest money, so we can go ahead and move forward." They went ahead, did the earnest money deposit, and then a couple weeks later, we ended up closing. Once they closed, they ended up getting, the seller got her money. The buyer got, they got their property. I did a blind HUD, so the seller doesn't know what my assignment fee was, and I got my 12K wire that same day. And now that has been a blessing since then. Ever since then, that was literally what jump started my whole wholesale business. That taught me like, oh shit, this can be real. This can be done. But also, long story short, what I'm trying to tell you is like, wholesaling is simple, but it's not easy. And also, if you go ahead and do it and you get a huge deal like that, or maybe even bigger than that, don't get complacent, especially if you see yourself doing this a lot more, or actively doing just real estate in general. Don't get complacent. Stay hungry regardless of how much money you've made, because that could be very bad. Hopefully, I've been able to bounce back. But long story short, that's how I got my first real estate deal, and that's how I went. And yeah, man, it's crazy how far I've come. It's crazy, all this stuff. But I really wanted to paint the picture of like what it actually entails to close a wholesale deal. Because I just keep saying get the property under contract, but people are asking like, okay, but like how? Like, what do you mean? Like, how do I find a seller? Like, what do you mean? How do I just get the property under contract and sell it? So hopefully this telling you guys the story of my first wholesale deal can really clear up a lot of those questions. But other than that, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, leave any comments, and make sure to click the links down below in regards of either getting your free agreement, or if you're serious, go ahead and apply to my one-on-one mentorship. And check out my IG. I'm gonna start posting on there a lot more, so go ahead. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me. I respond to everyone. But other than that, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.